Dawn on a European ferry dock. Two drivers step out of the same flat front cab. One stretches, the other checks the tachograph. 5,000 miles west, a single American driver pulls a long-nose freightliner into a Wyoming truck stop after 11 hours alone. Two continents, two completely different trucking universes. The force that split them apart was not culture or preference. It was where regulators placed a tape measure. On the edge of every European highway, the rules are written not just in law books, but in centimeters. The European Union's Directive 96/53 sets an unyielding limit. A standard tractor-semi-trailer may not exceed 16.5 meters from the very front of the cab to the furthest rear axle. For road train combinations, the articulated giants allowed on select corridors. The cap is 18.75 meters, measured with the same precision. There is no room for interpretation. The measurement begins at the front bumper's reference line and ends at the outermost point of the last axle, as specified in the Directive's technical annex. Inspectors armed with calibrated tapes or laser rangefinders enforce these numbers with a tolerance of just 5 centimeters. Any excess, even a fraction, can mean a fine or a forced stop at the roadside. The ritual of measurement is both routine and absolute. At ferry docks and border crossings, regulatory officers check each rig before it enters the internal market. The process is mechanical and public. A tape stretches from bumper to axle, sometimes under the gaze of the drivers themselves. The dimensions are logged in the vehicle's tachograph record book, a legal document that can be audited at any time. Every manufacturer, every operator, and every driver knows that these numbers are not guidelines. They are the envelope within which all engineering and logistics must fit. This hard ceiling drives a relentless search for spare centimeters. Engineers scrutinize every structural member, every bracket, every curve of the cab. The engine bay is compressed and folded beneath the driver's seat. The cab walls are squared, the nose is erased, and the sleeper compartment is stacked vertically. The result is the classic cab-over-engine profile that dominates Europe's highways. Flat-faced, compact, and tall enough inside for 2 bunks and standing room. Every design decision is made with the tape measure in mind, because any length spent on comfort or styling comes directly out of the cargo allowance. The numbers, 16.5 meters and 18.75 meters, are not just specifications. They are the silent architects of the European truck. Each centimeter reclaimed from the cab is a centimeter given to the trailer, and under the European Union's 40-ton gross weight rule, every 10 centimeters means up to 1.5 tons more payload. In this world, space is money, and the law decides how much of it you get. The inspector's tape is the final word, and the design of every vehicle on the road is shaped by its reach. On American highways, the rules are written differently, and the measuring tape lands in another place entirely. In the United States, the law draws its line not at the front bumper, but along the trailer itself. Since the Surface Transportation Assistance Act of 1982, federal regulation has fixed the maximum standard trailer length at 53 feet, or about 16.15 meters, for most interstate routes. The tractor, the part that houses the engine and the driver, is left almost entirely unregulated in terms of length. The only requirement is that the total combination must be able to safely navigate bridges and turns, a constraint enforced by the federal bridge formula, which balances axle spacing and weight but leaves the nose of the truck untouched. This trailer-first logic creates a world where the tractor can stretch forward, its long hood giving American trucks their unmistakable profile. The familiar conventional design, engine in front and cab setback, remains practical because every inch spent on driver comfort or mechanical access does not subtract from the legal cargo space. Manufacturers like Freightliner, Peterbilt, and Kenworth have refined this form for decades, offering large engine bays, smoother rides, and sleeper cabs that prioritize a single driver's rest. The 53-foot trailer becomes the universal building block, while the tractor evolves for comfort, endurance, and serviceability, not for squeezing into a legal envelope. State laws add another layer. While the federal 53-foot standard dominates interstate commerce, a handful of states, like Texas and Washington, permit longer combinations, sometimes measuring only the trailer or the distance from the rear of the tractor's fifth wheel to the end of the last trailer. These exceptions allow so-called road trains to reach 65 feet or more, but always by extending the trailer, not by limiting the tractor. The result is a patchwork, but the underlying principle holds. The cargo box sets the limit. The tractor is free to grow. The regulatory focus on trailer length rather than total vehicle length explains why the American long-nosed tractor survived and thrived. There was no incentive to fold the engine under the cab or to stack bunks vertically. Instead, the engineering challenge became one of comfort and reliability over vast distances, not of clawing back centimeters for payload. The law, quietly and without fanfare, made the long-hooded, single-bunk sleeper the default for American long-haul trucking, just as firmly as Europe's rules produced the flat-faced, dual-bunk cab-over. Where the inspector's tape lands, the truck's silhouette follows. A vehicle packaging engineer stands over a full-scale drawing, pencil tracing the silhouette of a cab-over Volvo. The challenge is mathematical. Every centimeter subtracted from the cab is a centimeter gained for cargo, and that trade has real weight. In the world of European regulation, a saving of 65 to 70 centimeters by folding the engine beneath the driver rather than stretching it out front translates into nearly a metric ton of extra freight for every 10 centimeters. That means reclaiming those 65 to 70 centimeters can add up to 10 tons of legal payload, a figure that shapes the economics of every long-haul route. The cab-over-engine design is not a stylistic choice. It is a direct response to the legal tape measure. Volvo and Scania, the two giants of European trucking, have refined this formula for decades. Their cabs are boxy, upright, and engineered to the millimeter. The engine sits directly under the floor, the front wall is near vertical, and the roof is raised to allow a driver to stand and two bunks to fit, one above the other. This vertical stacking is only possible because the cab does not project forward. In a world where every 10 centimeters is worth 1.5 tons, there is no room for a nose. Compare this to a Freightliner conventional in the United States. Here, the long nose design places the engine out front, creating a smooth ride and easy access for maintenance, but using up that precious 65 to 70 centimeters. Since the law only counts the trailer, that length is a luxury, not a liability. The American rig's cab is spacious, but the sleeper is designed for one, not two. The regulatory tape measure, invisible to most, is the true author of these shapes. The engineer's calculation is simple: maximize cargo, minimize cab length. In Europe, the cab-over is the only rational answer. The numbers do not lie. Payload density, cubic meters, and gross vehicle weight all flow from the same quiet rule. The outcome is visible on every highway, but the logic is hidden in centimeters and kilograms, enforced at the roadside, and written into the steel of every truck. Truck design hints at a deeper divide, one written into law, shaping every hour behind the wheel. In Europe, Regulation 561/2006 sets the rhythm: 9 hours of driving per day, with a possible extension to 10 hours twice a week. After 4.5 hours, a 45-minute break is required. These limits, detailed in Article 6 and Article 7, make continuous movement possible only by sharing the load. About 22% of European long-haul trips run with two drivers, especially on cross-border routes. The cab-over design becomes a shared living space, bunks stacked, as drivers alternate between rest and duty, every minute tracked by the tachograph. The United States takes a different approach. Under FMCSA Section 395.3, one driver may drive up to 11 hours within a 14-hour window, with a 30-minute break after 8 hours. Team driving is rare. Just 8% of American hauls use two drivers. The long nose tractor with its single bunk suits the solo operator. Here, the cab is a private retreat, not a shared barracks. These routines are not tradition, they are the product of policy. European rules, shaped by total length caps and harmonized labor law, make two-driver teams economical and often necessary. American rules, built around trailer first measurements and longer solo shifts, favor the lone driver. The numbers, 9 hours versus 11, 22% teams versus 8, reflect the choices lawmakers made decades ago. Now, as electric trucks and automation push boundaries, regulators face new questions. Yet the lesson endures. Every rule about hours, teams, and machines shapes not just the road, but the lives and futures of those who drive. Beneath every truck shape is a policy blueprint. Rules measured in centimeters or feet, not just miles. As today's lawmakers debate autonomous vehicles and labor standards, the lesson endures. Technical regulations quietly redraw the map of work, safety, and daily life. What we measure decides what we become.